Look, there's a homeowner in Hays County, Texas who pays $300 a year in property taxes on 7 acres of land. There's a golf club in New Jersey saving $257,000 a year using the same legal mechanism. Same tax break, just a different scale. The golf club uses 12 goats. The homeowner uses 6 beehives. Under a tax provision that's been on the books in some form since the 1960s, both of them have legally cut their property tax bill by 98%. By the end of this video, you're going to see 5 weird documents and a bonus doc at the end that regular homeowners are filing right now to do their own version of this. One of them costs nothing, applies to every homeowner in every state, and almost nobody requests it. One of them is so risky, it's permanent. But the math is so good, some homeowners are taking the deal anyway. And one of them solved a problem for a widow in Illinois who didn't even know she'd been overpaying for years. Starting with that widow, because what happened to her is happening on every street in America right now. The assessment keeps climbing, the Social Security check doesn't, and somewhere along the way, the math stops working. She's 68. Her husband died in 2023. He handled all the paperwork, and the year after he died, her tax bill landed $1,800 higher than the year before. She didn't know why. Nobody told her there was a form to file. 2 years later, $3,600 overpaid. Money she'll never get back. There are several forms that can put an end to situations like these. Some will fit your situation and some won't. But if you walk away with one move you didn't know existed, this video will be a massive win for you. In about half the states in this county, there's a form called the Senior Freeze. It does what the name says. Once you hit a qualifying age, usually 65, sometimes earlier, your assessed value freezes. The county can still raise the percentage they charge against that value. That's called the mill rate. But the value itself stops growing forever, or until you sell. In Cook County, where the widow lives, it freezes the equalized assessed value. In Texas, voters just passed a separate package in November. Seniors now have a combined $200,000 in school district exemptions, up from $60,000 in one election cycle. If you're over 65 or you have a spouse, parent, or an in-law who is, that form is the first place to look. Ask your county assessor for the Senior Freeze application. If the answer is we don't offer one in the state, ask for the senior exemption. Same idea, smaller cut, still real money. That's one. For most, this second one isn't even a new form to file. It's a refile of one most homers think they already handled, the Homestead exemption. You likely filed it when you bought the house, and if you didn't, it'd be a good idea to do it now. Either way, most haven't looked at it since, and there's a very good chance the version of it on file is no longer giving you what you're eligible for. Florida homeowners are losing an estimated $1,200 a year by missing exemption deadlines, not because the exemption doesn't exist, because nobody refiled when their status changed. If a spouse dies, you might qualify for a surviving spouse continuation that pays more. If a homeowner turns 65, you stack the senior exemption on top. If a homeowner becomes disabled, separate exemption, larger cut. If the property goes into a trust, depending on the state, you have to refile or you lose it entirely. If you moved in but never claimed the property as your primary residence on the county's records, you've been paying the non-homestead rate the whole time. Any one of these changes can either unlock a new exemption or wipe out the one you had. The county isn't going to call. In Texas, voters approved Proposition 13 last November. The school district homestead exemption jumped from $100,000 to $140,000. For the 2026 tax year, right now, if you live in Texas and you haven't checked your exemption status in the last 6 months, you've got 40 grand of taxable value sitting on the table that nobody told you was yours to grab. And before you scream at the screen, but Matt, I don't live in Texas, every state has some version of this. The name shifts. It could be a homestead exemption, principal residence exemption, or homeowners exemption. The mechanics are the same. Call your county assessor. Ask one specific question. What exemptions am I currently receiving? And what am I eligible for that I'm not receiving? That second half of the sentence is where the money is.
Nice.
The county is going to send you a bill. You're going to pay it unless somebody refiles. That's 2. This third one will save you the most money, yet it'll cost you the most if you don't read every line before you sign. It's a conservation easement. This is where you sign a legal agreement with either a land trust or a government agency. You keep ownership of the land, you keep living on it. What you give up is the right to develop it, or any part of it covered by the agreement. That restriction gets recorded on your deed. In exchange, the assessed value drops, sometimes 50%, sometimes 80%. And in some states, you also pick up state income tax credits on top of that. Now, it's not for everybody, but it still might spark an idea if it's not a fit for you. So who's doing this right now? Mostly homeowners on larger lots in semi-rural areas. People who already had no intention of subdividing or developing the back 5 acres anyway. But here's the catch, and it's a real one. The easement stays on the deed forever. It's permanent, meaning your kids inherit the easement. Their kids inherit the easement. You decide in 2034 you want to subdivide? You can't. You decide you want to put up a barn? Depends on what the easement says. The language, it's everything. This could be a good fit, and for many it is. For the homeowner whose biggest exposure is the assessed value of land they were never going to do anything with anyway. For them, it's the biggest discount the property tax code offers. For everyone else, it's a one-way door. Read every line. Use an attorney. Don't sign anything you're not sure your grandkids will be okay with. That's 3. Now I let us off with the homeowner in Hays County, Texas. Let's call him Tom, who owns a 7-acre lot with a house on it. His annual property tax bill before he did anything weird, just under $19,000. Today his bill is $300, down 98%. So how did he pull this off? You see, with property taxes skyrocketing across the country, homeowners are really starting to push the envelope with the tax code. One place many are finding their loopholes is in agricultural use exemptions. For example, Tom converted 6 of his 7 acres to what's called a 1D1 open space valuation under the Texas tax code. The qualifying agricultural use? Beekeeping. 6 bee colonies on 5 acres meets the state requirement. He hired a local beekeeper to install and manage the hives, full service, and saved 98% on his property tax. And Tom has never touched a bee. The Trump National Golf Club in New Jersey saves $257,000 a year on its property tax bill by keeping 12 goats on the back acreage. The goats were removed in 2025. The tax break stayed. Over $1.2 million in savings since 2021 on a property where the goats no longer live. Jon Bon Jovi pays roughly $100 a year in property taxes on his New Jersey mansion. The reason? Bees. In Florida, a developer paid $9 in property taxes on 6 acres of land worth $1.9 million on the open market. 4 cows that live on his land. He rented them from a local rancher. Cost the developer almost nothing. Cut the tax bill to less than a fast food meal. In Travis County, Texas, 6 beehives flip a property's taxable value from $70,000 an acre down to $2,000 an acre. Wyoming's threshold is just $500 in annual agricultural revenue. That's it. 2 cases of honey sold at a farmer's market gets your land taxed as a farm. The Wyoming legislature tried to raise the threshold to $5,000 in 2022. The bill died. $500 is still the bar today. In Oregon, if your property is already inside a farm use zone, the agricultural assessment is essentially automatic. No application, no paperwork, the zone does the work. And in Colorado, a beekeeper fought a single tax bill all the way to the state Supreme Court and got his annual property tax cut from $8,000 down to $419. These aren't actually loopholes. This is how the law is written. The rich figured it out 40 years ago. Multi-generational ranchers figured it out 40 years ago. The wave hitting right now is regular homeowners, fixed incomes, paid off houses, a few acres in the country. They're finally figuring out their version of this. If you've got acreage, or even just some usable land that's not under the house, depending on your state, bees, goats, hay, native songbird habitat, certain horticulture, there's a form in most states to reclassify it. Necessity used to be the mother of invention. Now it's the property tax bill. So call your county assessor. Here's another question. What's the threshold for agricultural classification on this parcel? And what qualifying activities does the state accept? The mechanism is real. The reason nobody at the county is going to mention it to you is because they don't get paid to. That's 4. And if you don't have acreage to take advantage of, I understand. But this last one, it applies to every homeowner in the country. It costs nothing, and it takes 1 phone call. Your county, they keep a file on your house. It's called the property record card, sometimes the field card, sometimes the property characteristics report. The name shifts by state. The document, it's the same. It lists every data point the county uses to calculate your assessment. The square footage, number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, the year built, the lot size, the condition rating, whether you have a finished basement, whether you have a garage, every assumption they're taxing you on. And here's the part nobody tells you. That file is wrong more often than it's right. By one industry estimate, more than 50% of residential property tax assessments contain some kind of inaccuracy, transposed square footage, phantom bathrooms, a finished basement that's actually unfinished, a 2-car garage on a 1-car driveway, a lot size pulled from a survey that's been outdated since 1987. Every one of those errors raises your taxable value. None of them get fixed unless you, the homeowner, request the card, review it, and point them out in writing. Call your county assessor tomorrow morning. Ask for your property record card. It's a public record. They have to give it to you. Most counties, they'll email it within a day or two. Read it. Walk your house. Compare every line. That's 5, but here's a bonus. It handles what every other document filing here doesn't. Your specific house, with its specific problems, that the county software model cannot possibly know about. You see, your assessment is not calculated by an assessor walking through your house. It's calculated by a software model. And in a growing number of counties, overhead drone footage. They fly the neighborhood. AI looks at your roof, your pool, your additions, your outbuildings, updates the file, raises your bill, and you'll never see them. Mostly though, the model looks at neighborhood sales, applies a depreciation curve based on the year your house was built, and spits out a number. The model, it's calibrated to the average. The average is, by definition, wrong for any property that deviates from it. Like if your kitchen is from 1973 and nobody has updated it, or your single floor ranch has a master bedroom that's 90 square feet, or your basement floods every spring, or you back up to a power substation, or you're on a busy road, there's a cell tower 3 doors down. Every one of these things can qualify for a functional obsolescence declaration, which reduces market value of your home. None of these show up in the county software. You have to document them. Photos, contractor estimates, a realtor's letter, a professional appraisal if the stakes are high enough. And this matters more than ever if you live in a neighborhood where there's been significant rehabs in the last few years. Other people's new kitchens push your assessment up. Their granite countertops raise your tax bill. You did nothing, but the comp sales did everything. The property record card is where you start. The obsolescence declaration is where you tell them what they got wrong. The form for most counties is called a petition for review or a property tax appeal application. Some states call it a board of review filing. The form is free. The case you build with it is what costs you a weekend or a fixed fee. I put up a resource for you that you might find helpful at fightmyassessment.com. So from here, you've got 2 paths to choose from. The first one, accept what's happening and just keep paying the bill. Or path 2, pull the property record card from your county. Make sure your homestead exemption is up to date. File the senior freeze if it's applicable. Look at your acreage, your usable land. Build the obsolescence file. And if nothing else, call the county and ask this question. What exemptions am I currently receiving? And what am I eligible for that I'm not receiving? If you can stack 2 or even 3 of these, you can really move the needle on your property tax bill. And know this, you're not in this alone. The war against property taxes has gone national. The headlines this year have been the most aggressive in 50 years. And that's why I pulled this video out here for you to watch next. Because the assessment notice landing in your mailbox in the next 30 days, it's going to tell you which side of this thing you're actually on. And your state could be next. So watch this one now. God loves you, and so do I. Take care.